Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Wake and Take. It's your boy Jason, and we've got some football to talk about today. Today is Monday, so we've got some reactions to the week. We're going to be talking my top takeaways from week 7. We're going to go over some of the injuries as well. So go ahead, take out your coffee, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. And welcome in everyone here in the chat. Our fearless producer, Dustin, Bach, Alex, Happy Hudson. Good to see you all this morning. Best ball on call. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you're listening on the podcast, thank you as well. Again, guys, you can find the link to the podcast via the link in the description. Now, before we get into it, I have to ask. To me, I see a lot of lag. I have no idea why. Am I lagging to you guys? Because it looks really terrible to me on my end. So please let me know. Yeah, I don't know. I hope we're good. I really hope we're good because I have no idea how to troubleshoot this. My internet, we're all good. I'm all plugged in. I've never had this issue before. This is just a classic computer issue. Classic. Great. Awesome. Awesome. We love to see that. We love that on a Monday morning. Absolutely no way to fix that, but I'll try lowering my definition on my camera maybe. I don't know. I have no clue. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. We're going to change it from 1080 to 720 and hope that helps. Otherwise, I really have no clue. I'm hardwired. My internet has been tested, and we're over 200 megabits a second upload and download. So I really, I have no clue. I have no clue. So I don't have a filter on. There's no filter on, or I guess maybe my green screen. We could try no green screen. Nope, that didn't help either. The no green screen has not helped either, so we're just gonna have to roll with it. And sorry, I guess I don't know. I really don't know. That's very frustrating. So thank you for bearing with me. This is a podcast episode today, apparently, because nothing wants to work. That's just incredible. Let's just go ahead and go right into the injuries. We'll talk about those real quick. First off, Antonio Gibson on the Patriots, he picked up a knee injury. Calvin Ridley on the Titans picked up an ankle injury. Braxton Berrios, not like we care, picked up a knee injury. David Montgomery had a knee injury but did return to the game, so it seems that he's fine. Jalen Hyatt picked up a rib injury. Harrison Bryant picked up an elbow injury. Raheem Blackshear, kick returning, I guess, for your Scott Fishbowl Fiends, shoulder injury. Jaden Daniels, a rib injury. Some more details should come out later today about the severity. DK Metcalf picked up a knee injury. Hopefully he's fine. We never want to see a knee injury for that guy. Deebo Samuel, he had an illness, tried to play through it, didn't really. Juju Smith-Schuster hamstring injury, which he actually picked up in practice heading into the game, so it sucks to kind of see the re-aggravation there. Jordan Whittington picked up a shoulder injury, which led to no targets, unfortunate. Dawson Knox, knee injury. Curtis Samuel, shoulder injury, so 2 Buffalo pass catchers injured in this one. Dorian Thompson-Robinson picked up a finger injury. Aiden O'Connell picked up a thumb injury, leading the door for Gardner Minshew to turn the ball over 4 times. Demario Douglas tried to play through an illness, couldn't do it, had to go back out. And Jalen Polk picked up a head injury, but, that might just be because he's a head case. Am I right, fellas? Am I right? Because he can't catch the damn ball. It's just so frustrating watching Jalen Polk play football. Now, those are the, injuries we're learning some more on. There are 2 more injuries done for the season. Deshaun Watson, Achilles, non-contact, done for the year. That's all I'll say. And then Brandon Ayuk, torn ACL, also done for the year, it seems. I believe that isn't as official as the Deshaun Watson injury, but that is how the Brandon Ayuk one is at least trending and more than likely going to be the case as we hear some more come out probably later today. But still, given it's a torn ACL, we expect rest of year. Cool. Now, let's go ahead and move on to some of the reactions. But before we get into the reactions, I just want to play a quick little ad break here. let's hear a little bit about, let's just hear about just Player Profiler in general.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free, and one of our key missions is to make as much statistics and information and deep analysis available on PlayerProfiler.com for free. This is only possible because of you allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In package to continue to make all of this possible. If you can't do All In, that's okay. We have a draft kit. Or you can just subscribe to the player rankings. Those now include tight end premium FFPC ranks. Our brand new data analysis package will blow your hair back. And of course, there's our Dynasty Deluxe and our DFS Dominator. Take a moment, check out our premium services to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are probably all already keen to the beauty of Player Profiler, but if you've stumbled across this video, playerprofiler.com has a ton of free tools to help you stay ahead of the game, but also an incredible all-in package with tons of great extra tools, premium tools to help win your league as well. Just an incredible site. Awesome details and statistics around every player in the league. It's fantastic stuff over at Player Profiler. Shout out to the Player Profiler team, really, just everyone as we get through this technical difficulties morning. Man, I hate it. I hate technical difficulties. I just don't get it. I just don't understand. Okay, here we go. We've got some reactions. We're not going to touch the overlay. We're just going to sit here and we're going to talk. We're going to start things off with the Saquon Barkley revenge game. We all knew it was going to happen. We talked about it on Thursday's preview. We called 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. We were wrong, but he still got 180 yards and a touchdown. Just an absolute incredible performance from Saquon Barkley in his first game against the New York Giants, and what's the second most rush yards he's had in a single game in his career. Just a phenomenal performance, especially given the New York Giants were kind of stingying, really, the Philadelphia offense in general. Jalen Hurts only 100 yards. A.J. Brown only 89 yards. In fact, the next leading receiver besides A.J. Brown was Kenneth Gainwell with 11 yards. 89 to 11 yards in the receiving department. The passing game was not there in this one. It all came down to Saquon Barkley. He put the team on his back. He helped the Philadelphia Eagles absolutely dismantle the New York Giants and win that game 28-3. Just awesome to see. We love revenge games. We do love revenge games, especially one for Saquon Barkley. You guys know it. Here on Wake and Take, we are RB defenders. We love running backs on this show. Running backs are awesome. They make the game great. And Saquon Barkley, one of the best to ever do it, absolutely disrespected by the New York Giants. Glad he was able to find a home in Philadelphia. Glad he's just on the pace that he is. And glad he gets to absolutely give the middle finger to the Giants. Just a good one. Just a great story. Shout out Saquon. Shout out Eagles to absolutely crushing the Giants on the ground with Saquon's athleticism. Just an awesome game. Another running back had an absolutely incredible performance. And this is another one we called on Thursday on the start sit. I said to sit David Montgomery. This was going to be his first game without his touchdown against the Minnesota Vikings because Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have a ceiling game. I don't know why I felt it. I don't know how, who, what, where, when, why told me that we were going to have the Jahmyr Gibbs game and you need to sit David Montgomery. But it happened. And so I'm just going to go ahead and slightly victory lap it. I know part of it was an injury, but David Montgomery returned. So, hey. Jahmyr Gibbs, 116 rush yards and 2 rushing touchdowns on top of 4 receptions for 44 receiving yards. Incredible game from Jahmyr Gibbs. It's awesome. It's awesome to see. And I think that we can kind of expect it, right? I think that we can tell when it's going to be a Jahmyr Gibbs game, when it's going to be a David Montgomery game, when it's going to be a both game. And this one against the Minnesota Vikings stingy defense just seemed like this was the time. This was going to be the one because everyone was giving up on Jahmyr Gibbs. People were saying, would you rather have David Montgomery or Jahmyr Gibbs on your fantasy team? And I saw a ton of people saying that they would rather have David Montgomery at this point. And I'm like, guys, we still have a second half of the season. We still have tons of potential for Jahmyr Gibbs to be Jahmyr Gibbs, okay? So this is why you don't give up on running backs in particular. There's always so much panic around it. And you just shouldn't. We draft these players for their athleticism and for certain game scripts. And Jahmyr Gibbs, he's a game script running back with a ton of athleticism and elusiveness. This was the perfect matchup for him. We're going to see a lot more of this throughout the season. And this is just a shining example of why you can't give up on elite running backs like Gibbs. And, of course, Bijan, Breece Hall, some other running backs that people are giving up on for no good damn reason. Awful. Awful. But shout out Jahmyr Gibbs. We called it here. I think Dustin's clipping it this week, so we can have a nice little social media clip. So shout out Dustin for all his hard work keeping this show running. But yeah, that was kind of the Lions takeaways. I mean, I was very sad about Jameson Williams. I'm glad he technically got me 0.6 points in PPR leagues, but in standard leagues, he got you nothing. In fact, negative points in half PPR, he got you negative points. So kind of a disappointing one from Jameson Williams, but I think this was an eye-opening one as well, just in terms of how to manage him. I think, honestly, as the resident Jameson Williams stan, I'm going to go ahead and officially say he might be more boom or bust than I was hoping he would be. I really thought especially his utilization at the beginning of the season would lead him to be a more consistent option. But in this game, only one target. Khalif Raymond getting 4. Tim Patrick getting a couple targets. Part of that's going to be the game plan. I'm sure the Vikings kind of had something to take away the explosiveness that J-Mo brings. But still, you want to see him get force-fed a little bit more than he was. And, I mean, his only catch was a design screen. So it's good to know now, but it is frustrating to think that I had, an every week starter in J-Mo. Might not be the case. Might have to play, the matchup's a little bit more. Well, I mean, I'm still going to be fairly confident, right? Like, I know this was his really only bust game of the year, but one target to me, especially in this game where they were, competitive the whole game, I find a little bit of a concern in it, especially with the Khalif Raymond touchdown. David Montgomery even, had 4 targets. So I don't know. I just would have liked to see a little bit more, but I know that, that's just how it goes for wide receivers sometimes too. I just, it just makes me be like, okay, the Lions have a tough matchup. Maybe I don't need to play J-Mo. Maybe there's other options out there. Because, I mean, I sat Marvin Harrison Jr. for J-Mo in a league, right? Like, that's kind of how I got, like, that's where I'd gotten with my J-Mo excitement. So I'm tempering there a little bit now, but still, obviously, he's awesome. I'm not saying he's not awesome, but just I really thought he was going to be a consistent producer every single game, whereas now I see the bust potential here a little bit more, which is good. We like clarity, even if it's bad, right? Now, another thing we totally called, and again, there was no analysis behind this. I get it if you didn't want to listen to me, but sometimes we don't need analysis. Sometimes we just need to understand how the world works. And sometimes things like Tyler Conklin just happens. That was a tight end I recommended starting and streaming this week. I said, of course, right? Of course Tyler Conklin's going to score a touchdown with Devontae Adams in town. Everyone talking about how is Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, and Allen Lazard going to be split up. Tyler Conklin is the answer. Tyler Conklin, of course, in this matchup was going to score. It was inevitable. It was just so inevitable that Tyler Conklin would do Tyler Conklin things in this game. We talked about it on Thursday, and damn did it happen. 4 targets, 4 receptions, and a touchdown. Somehow only 7 yards off of 4 receptions. That's a little bit of a concern. But still, shout out Tyler Conklin for finding the end zone. And in case you were wondering, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, and Devontae Adams all tied with targets in this game. They all had 9 targets each. And Allen Lazard was still able to get his as well, 4 targets. And this is probably how it's going to go. And this is why I said, I just don't want really a part of any Jets pass catcher except their Breece Hall or maybe Tyler Conklin if, I'm hurting at tight end. But Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams, they're going to cannibalize each other. They're both going to get 10 targets from average Aaron Rodgers at this point in his career. And the Jets just can't. The Jets are not good. This was my big problem with the trade. I understand trying your damnedest to win a Super Bowl. But holy shit, this isn't a Super Bowl team, New York. Devontae Adams wasn't going to make you a Super Bowl team. A waste of resources and just cannibalizing the team, really. Sometimes. I can't remember what year it was, but it was like Miguel Cabrera and all these baseball players. They had a super team in Detroit. The Detroit Tigers had a super team. And then they ended up being the worst team in the MLB that year. I'm not a great baseball fan. In my childhood, I liked baseball. I understand this is an old example, but still, sometimes when there's so many egos and people, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Yes, the Steelers are a great defense, but still, Aaron Rodgers, 276 yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions, 9 targets for both Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams, so 18 targets between the two, but only 8 receptions for 91 yards and no touchdowns. And that's just how it's going to be. One of them will have a touchdown, but we're just not they don't have a ceiling anymore. And so it's just frustrating. Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, these are the receivers that need those 15-plus targeters to really be elite in fantasy. They're still going to be good, right? I mean, you can't complain about 11 points. You can't complain. You can complain about 6 points from Devontae Adams, but not in his first game. Not in his first game as a Jet. We should have tempered expectations anyway. But still, it's just this is how it's going to go. This is why we were saying to sell them just off of the hype, right? It's just yeah, they'll have games. But for the most part, they're not, right? They're just not. So we're going to go ahead and move on, though, to the other side of the ball. And, I just have to go ahead and apologize. I was not a fan of Russell Wilson. I did not want him to start. I completely thought he was washed based on his time in Denver and just the fact that, Justin Fields was able to do his thing. So I didn't have much faith in Russell Wilson. I really didn't. I continuously called him washed on this show. He's dust. There's no point. Justin Fields is going to take this job back. Good first game. Good first game on Thursday. Again, we had him as the sitting quarterback. The Jets were literally the number one pass defense, literally the best pass defense in the NFL so far up to this point. Russell Wilson in his first game of the season, with George Pickens not really head in the game, I just didn't really think it would be a recipe for success here, which makes this that much more impressive, right? Everything was this should be a floor game for the Steelers offense. Russell Wilson should not play well. But, he did. He actually, he looked good. He actually looked good. He only got sacked once. 16 of 29, 264 yards, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. George Pickens, 100 yards and a touchdown. Najee Harris, 100 yards and a touchdown on the ground. Russell Wilson even added a rushing touchdown. Russell Wilson, if you will. So I just have to apologize. Seriously. To Russ, to you guys as well. You guys have a ton of Justin Fields probably because of me, and maybe even sold your Russell Wilson shares because of me. So I apologize for that. We still hope that Russell Wilson gets benched and Justin Fields gets the job again. But if he's going to continue playing like this, then that's not really going to happen. They looked good. They looked good. The ball was moving. Again, 100-yard receiver and 100-yard rusher, both with touchdowns on top of almost 300 passing yards from the quarterback with no turnovers. That's exactly what you're looking for against a tough defense in the New York Jets. That was just incredible. Really, honestly, shout out Russ, shout out Steelers. There was a really good interview after the game, and Mike Tomlin was just asked, that had to be the hardest decision you've ever made to just bench Justin Fields when he's playing well for Russ. And Mike Tomlin just said, that's why I'm paid the big bucks, And he's right. That's why Mike Tomlin's paid the big bucks. I wouldn't have had the balls to make this move, but I think it was the right move, honestly. They look good. Now, I'll say this. I bet this is still more of a Mike Tomlin than an Arthur Smith move. I bet Arthur Smith still wants Justin Fields back there, but he's the coordinator for a reason. Russell Wilson, it's a different offense. It's a more pass-friendly offense. So it looks like, hey, we do need to buy Roman Wilson. We do need to send out some feelers for him and pick him up in some of these leagues, as I don't think Van Jefferson and Calvin Austin are going to kind of be the ancillary wide receivers going forward. I know Roman Wilson keeps picking up these injuries, but either way, really great first game for him. Obviously, we still have to temper expectations for season long. And as Alex is saying, you still have to play ball in the winter. I agree. I'm just saying that this offense looked good. And Russell Wilson runs a very balanced offense for sure. And I think that that's what the Steelers want. And I know that Justin Fields was winning games, but it's definitely a lot less balanced. This is just a football offense with Russell Wilson. Whereas Justin Fields, you kind of have to scheme everything around him, which is fine, right? I'm sure Arthur Smith loves doing that. But I'm also sure they like just as much to just have a normal offense, normal game plan, and just play ball with Russell Wilson. And I don't think they're really going to go away from that unless something tragic happens. But this was a very good game from Russ that, I mean, this has made his leash a little bit longer, in my opinion, even if it is only one game, right? I mean, like, it's not like there's no tape on Russell Wilson. Sure, there's no tape on Steelers Russell Wilson, but I mean, like, you know, like defenses should know how to stop him if they want to stop him at this point. But he looked good. And maybe that's part of, you know, resting for 6 weeks, right? Like maybe he has all this juice right now because he hasn't played all season. But I mean, like, he was getting out of the pocket. He was avoiding sacks. I mean, like, it was a good game from him. So I really do just want to apologize, and I just want to give some props to Russell Wilson. But yeah, I mean, George Pickens, a big story of that. I mean, like, those were some hospital balls. Those were some turnover interception balls that George Pickens turned into huge gains. So I'm curious to see how, you know, if he can keep that up. But Russell Wilson's kind of made a career off those, like, you know, these shouldn't be caught passes, but they just end up being caught. And George Pickens is a really good combo for that. So, hey, you know, all I can say is, you know, I'm sorry, Russ. I wasn't familiar with your game, apparently. Now, moving on to Javonte Williams. As we know, I have been very proud of my avoidance of the Denver Broncos backfield this year. I have absolutely 0 shares of Javonte, absolutely 0 shares of Jaleel McLaughlin, and I only have Audric Estime on that really bad FFPC team I keep talking about, where I just, you know, it's an awful orphan I took over. I got Audric Estime in the rookie draft kind of towards the end, just in case. You know, you just got to take shots on running backs, especially on bad teams, and hope you can flip them. But otherwise, I was very steadfast in avoiding this backfield. You know, it's probably a bad offense. For the most part, the points are going to come from Bo Nix and Troy Franklin. That was my take. Javonte Williams, though, 14 carries, 88 yards, and 2 touchdowns on Thursday Night Football. 3 receptions for 23 yards, leading all the running backs in receptions as well. Very, very good game from him. So you can ask me this question again, Jason, are you still happy you avoided the Denver Broncos backfield? And my answer is still yes. If I had Javonte Williams, I would be selling him. I would be selling Javonte Williams after this game. I know a lot of people are saying, like, hey, he's here now. You know, like, I see a lot of Javonte Williams victory laps on the internet. I just don't really think that's the case. Again, there was only 14 carries. Only 14 carries, only 3 receptions, right? Like, this is, I mean, that's 17 touches. That's not bad. But still, Jaleel McLaughlin got some touches. Audric Estime got some touches. And this just happened to be a game where Javonte Williams scored 2 touchdowns. That's just not going to happen. Because in this case, Bo Nix scored 0 touchdowns. And that's not going to happen very frequently either. So I don't see many multi-touchdown games for Javonte Williams in his future. And I don't really see 100-yard really games either. Like, he didn't look as good as the stat line suggests, as the fantasy points suggest. I would be looking to sell Javonte Williams off of this game. That's going to be my suggestion, my takeaway from this. Because, as expected, the Bo Nix, Troy Franklin connection, guys, what have I been saying? It's going to develop. It's going to continue to develop. And Troy Franklin's going to lead this team in receptions. I mean, like, how often do I have to say this damn thing? I remember last week on the waiver show, I said Troy Franklin is the Broncos receiver to pick up, not Devon Vele, even if Vele had more targets. Because that's just not, we're not reacting to 1 week. We're reacting to preseason expectations and postseason expectations. The Broncos want to develop Bo Nix and Troy Franklin. They made it so clear. Like, come on, they drafted them together. They obviously want them to keep that connection going. And so to see 5 receptions off of 6 targets for 50 yards is huge. Team leading in targets, team leading in receptions, team leading in receiving yards for Troy Franklin. Let's go. I see the question, would you drop Sutton for Troy Franklin? I don't know if I would drop Sutton. But I would rather have Troy Franklin. I know it's crazy to say that, but like, this is the thing. Like, you can't think of bad teams as competitive teams, right? Like, if the Broncos were playing for the playoffs, you would rather have Cortland Sutton. But the Broncos are playing for 2025, 2026, right? They're trying to develop their youth. They're trying to get their young quarterback acclimated. And the way to do that is to continue feeding his wide receiver that he's already thrown the ball to for a couple years, right? To try new things, right? And so Troy Franklin's going to, like, he's the game plan in the passing department, at least for the most part. Like, he's going to consistently get these 5 targets, and you're just going to hope he gets a touchdown. Courtland Sutton is going to have more touchdowns, though, probably. Like, he's still going to be utilized. This game was just a weird one. Also, the Saints have a really good shutdown corner. So, I mean, like, I think that we'll have Courtland Sutton back. I don't want to drop Courtland Sutton, but I would rather have Troy Franklin over Courtland Sutton long term, especially in Dynasty. You want Troy Franklin, guys. I know that the combine wasn't as exciting as we wanted it to be, but it's still not bad. Like, if you go look at his athletic profile, it's still pretty good. So, yeah, I agree. It'll kind of be a headache. I just think that Troy Franklin's going to be the more consistent. And with the youth, that's the one you want in Dynasty is Troy Franklin, especially since next year he's going to be, the main one. Now, what would you sell Javonte for? I mean, I would honestly take a second for Javonte. I think you could probably easily get that in redraft. I mean, in redraft, it's a little bit tougher. I would probably look to pivot to a wide receiver. Like I would try to get Troy Franklin's an interesting case. Like, see what you could get Troy Franklin plus a Christian Watson or like a Romeo Doubs or something, like a Packers receiver. I don't know. But I would try to get a receiver. I think I would get out of the running back department if I had Javonte and just get a wide receiver with some upside. Now, moving on to another running back to talk about is Travis Etienne, and I think that the final nail in the coffin is here. It's kind of been trending this way all season where Travis Etienne just isn't Travis Etienne, and Tank Bigsby is a tank. 26 carries, 118 yards, and 2 touchdowns in this one. I don't know what kind of snap share Travis Etienne is going to come back to, guys. It was already, right? Like, it was already trending towards it was already trending towards Travis Etienne kind of losing snaps week in, week out. Tank Bigsby kind of getting closer and closer, edging him out and looking better. Now Travis Etienne is gone and the Jaguars actually look good. And a lot of that is because Tank Bigsby and D'Ernest Johnson, for that matter, are averaging over 4 yards a carry. Tank Bigsby, again, 2 touchdowns, 118 rush yards, just looked incredible. I think that was the final nail in the coffin for Travis Etienne. I mean, he's still going to be out a couple more weeks with his hamstring injury. And then when he comes back, he's going to be getting worked up to game speed behind a running back who has a ton of juice right now. Tank Bigsby looks to be kind of a league winner, almost, if you will. I mean, I'm not going to go that far to say a true league winner, but like if you were stashing him, I mean, you have an every week starter now, and you're so very excited. That's just that. Now, would you sell Tank Bigsby? The answer is probably yes. You should probably try to sell Tank Bigsby. These backup running backs, when they gain value like this, you should at least shop them and see what you could get. But it's over for Travis Etienne, it seems, at least in terms of being a bell cow running back. Now, here's the case. Here's the thing. There is now a little bit of an opportunity if you want to get a little risky, if you want to get a little crazy, a little woohoo, you could try to buy low on Travis Etienne because, and we don't want this to happen, knock on wood, we don't want this to happen, but running backs do get hurt all the time. And it's very possible that Travis Etienne is the backup now. Travis Etienne's kind of the handcuff at Jacksonville. It's very possible he turns into a league winner, right? Like, it's just very possible that Travis Etienne gets faded all preseason, and then for some reason, Tank Bigsby, again, we don't want it to happen, gets injured, and then Travis Etienne is the bell cow in the last few weeks of the season. That would be a total monkey paw curl moment. But just saying, it's impossible to totally give up on running backs because, injuries just are so prevalent. That, you can't bet on Tank Bigsby still playing every single game at this level and staying healthy, right? Like, you just can't. So, you can't totally give up on Travis Etienne, but that was definitely the nail in the coffin of him being a bell cow while both out there, right? Like, it is that, Travis Etienne is not coming back to a 60% opportunity share at all. It's going to be like 45, 50, if that, right? Like, Tank Bigsby looks damn good, and Travis Etienne honestly hasn't really. A lot of his production has come from touchdowns. It really has not ever been the player that, his prospect profile kind of suggested. Now, we're going to move on to the Patriots. And Drake May, you can start him every week. Garbage time, not garbage time. He looks damn good. Awesome game from him. 276 yards, 2 touchdowns, 18 rush yards, no turnovers. Shout out Drake May. Now, I also want to talk about this Jamichael Hasty thing because, yeah, it looks like he got a lot of his opportunity because of the injury, but he was getting some opportunity before the Antonio Gibson injury as well. So I just want to say I think that Jamichael Hasty was more of a revenge game narrative, right? Like, I don't want anyone listening this to go pick up Jamichael Hasty. or at least spend any significant fab. Like if he's available and it's a deeper league and you could get him for free or like a fab dollar, sure. But I think for the most part, I think this was more of those revenge game narratives, right? Jahmyr Hasty used to play for the Jaguars, gets an opportunity to go up against them, catches 5 passes for 49 yards and a touchdown. This was the week to start Jahmyr Hasty. It's not going to happen again. I wouldn't really risk trying to pick him up or start him ever. I would just leave it. That's kind of where I'm at with that. Even with the Antonio Gibson injury, I think this was more of a revenge game narrative. And this is apparently the running back show, as I just love myself some Kenneth Walker. I just love Kenneth Walker. You guys know it. I talked about it all offseason. This was one of my biggest buys. I didn't understand why he was so cheap in redraft especially, but also in Dynasty. I felt that as the RB11, RB12 going into the year, that it was just a bit too low for the type of profile and player that Kenneth Walker is. I mean, he is genuinely like a Madden created character. Like if you were to create a running back for Madden, you would probably create Kenneth Walker at least half the time. He's a total stud. He's just an awesome running back. So good. And this offense is a high value, high volume offense. And so I wanted him so bad. I didn't believe in Zach Charbonnet at all. And I told you guys not to believe in Zach Charbonnet. Why would you believe in the guy who had to transfer out of Michigan to find any success at college because of Hassan Haskins? Right? Like, he's fine. Zach Charbonnet's fine. You know, he's an NFL level back, but Kenneth Walker is a literal different beast. Just literally a whole, like he's this era's Nick Chubb, right? Like he's the new Nick Chubb. We want him so bad. I mean, obviously you can't get him now, but I mean, just listen, like 69 rush yards and a touchdown off of only 14 carries, and then 2 receptions for 24 yards and a receiving touchdown. And it was an awesome catch. I mean, it was like a diving catch. It was like a diving catch into the end zone. I mean, it's just like Kenneth Walker is just so good at football. He's just so good. And I love watching him play. Honestly, I think I might have to buy a throwback Seahawks Kenneth Walker jersey. The 9 with like the cool blue and like nice green. Walker 3 on the back. It's just a sick jersey, and he's just an awesome player. Man, you were able to trade a first and a second. You traded Justin Jefferson for a first, second, Kenneth Walker, and T. Higgins. Not too bad. Not too shabby. Man, and he was sick. Yes, he was sick like me and playing on his birthday. Shout out Kenneth Walker, guys. Seriously. I mean, like, just what a stud. Just genuinely, like, what a stud. And people were, like, giving up on him. Saying Zach Charbonnet would take over. Get out of here. Get out of here. That's why you come to Wake and Take. That's why you come to Wake and Take. You get the Kenneth Walker love. You get the Kenneth Walker love here. Now, moving on. The Kyle Pitts game. The Kyle Pitts game happened. Now, no touchdown, but led the Falcons in targets. 9 targets, 7 receptions, 65 yards. Led the team in receiving yards and receptions. 1 more reception and 2 more yards than Drake London. Drake London does get the touchdown, but to see this type of utilization for Kyle Pitts was just incredible. We love to see it. He's the tight end 6 right now on the season. He still has tons of potential to finish as a top 3 tight end, guys, and still potentially the tight end 1. Kyle Pitts' season is here. It's still happening. I know it's quiet. But it's happening. The drum beats are happening. The Kyle Pitts season is here. It really is. Still try to acquire him in Dynasty if you can. Still try to acquire him in redraft if you can. He's an every week starter at the tight end position, and right now we take that. Kyle Pitts is awesome. He's going to keep being awesome. Shout out Falcons. Oh, man. Talk about nail in the coffin for Travis Etienne. What about nail in the coffin for Dalton Kincaid? Now, again, this was another one we knew about, right? Right? We talked about it all offseason. The Buffalo Bills are not going to make Dalton Kincaid an alpha. Is he going to have games? Sure. But he was not worth the value. If I had Dalton Kincaid, I said I was selling him 10 times out of 10. There's no reason. The Buffalo Bills are going to spread the ball around. There's not going to be a true alpha. And they tried that the first few games of the season, and it didn't work. So they brought in Amari Cooper. And what does Amari Cooper do in his first game as a Buffalo Bill? Really establish himself as an alpha. Now, he only has 4 receptions, but he gets 66 yards and a touchdown. Again, in his first game as a Buffalo Bill, that's incredible. I talked about sitting him. I really didn't think he'd be utilized in this way. I really didn't. Not in the first game. I really didn't. But he's just that dude. Like, Amari Cooper's just that dude, and that's why we said to buy him as well. I said buy him, but sit him. But shit, I mean, like, you just play him every week now. He's going to be awesome, man. He's going to be awesome. Dalton Kincaid, like, Amari Cooper had a better game in his first game as a Buffalo Bill than Dalton Kincaid had all season. That says volumes. So, Dalton Kincaid is not the alpha tight end he was drafted to be. I mean, it was already up, probably the case up to this point. But to see Amari Cooper outperform his season best already in his first game as a Buffalo Bill, that's the final nail in the coffin for me. Amari Cooper, you know what? Yes, applied literature. Amari Cooper may end up a league winner. If you can still get him at a cheap price, I think you should. Like we talked about it on Wednesday, right? On the market watch, we said he's probably going to be Stephon Diggs. Like, they're going to force feed him the ball. He's going to be awesome. He's going to get touchdowns. He's going to get targeted. 5 targets, 4 receptions in his first game. Just great. And, I mean, shout out Keon Coleman as well. I mean, he had 125 yards. So, shout out. Shout out Ray Davis as well, keeping the touchdown streak going. But Amari Cooper is the big story here, and that is doom for Dalton Kincaid, unfortunately. Now, Mason Rudolph. I was hopeful here. There are 2 teams that I was absolutely wrong about this offseason. 2, I was just wrong. Just totally wrong. And it's only been 2. Maybe 2.5. I didn't think that the Vikings would be undefeated, this long at least. But 2 teams I had very high expectations and hope for. Sorry, let me fix this. There were 2 teams I had really high expectations and hope for, and those were the Tennessee Titans and the Las Vegas Raiders. What's going on here? We're back. Maybe. There were 2 teams that I had very high hopes for heading into the season, the Tennessee Titans and the Las Vegas Raiders. And up to this point, the Tennessee Titans have not been good. A large part of that was Will Levis just isn't the NFL quarterback we hoped he could be. And so I was very, very hopeful that Mason Rudolph would be able to help this offense reach its potential. There's just so many good pieces on this offense. Tony Pollard, DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley. Chigakonkwo's got some athleticism. And Mason Rudolph looked pretty good in Pittsburgh last year. He at least looked, competent. And that's about all we can ask for on an offense like Tennessee. But sadly, Mason Rudolph is not that much of an upgrade, if an upgrade at all, from Will Levis. 25 of 40, 215 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, sacked 3 times, 3 fumbles, lost 1 of them, and the leading receiver was Chigakonkwo with 50 yards. And Nick Westbrook-Akine was the one who scored a touchdown. Just totally wrong on the Tennessee Titans. I was really hopeful that Mason Rudolph could save my take. Doesn't seem like he can. Yeah, I mean, the Bills' defense is one of the better ones, but I even thought, garbage time would help. But no, I mean, like, genuinely, we're just wrong. I was wrong. I don't even know what else to say besides I was wrong about the Tennessee Titans. I'm really upset. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins, 1 reception off of 1 target with Mason Rudolph just doesn't even sound right. The fact it was -2 yards sounds even less right. I just don't get it. Hopefully if Mason Rudolph starts again, that it could look a little bit better. But, I mean, like, this is probably good news for Will Levis managers. I mean, I don't like Mason Rudolph didn't inspire any confidence. You might as well go to the young guy who played just as well and at least had some rushing upside and got the ball to DeAndre Hopkins. But yeah, just disappointed in the Tennessee Titans. This was one of the teams I was absolutely wrong on. And yeah, I just have to apologize for that. Really, really thought that they would at least be a little bit better. But they're just not. And the other team, as mentioned, that I was totally wrong on was the Las Vegas Raiders. I thought that with Davante Adams, Gardner Minshew, and Jahmyr White, that they would be a competent team that kept games close all season. Gardner Minshew got benched. Davante Adams got traded. And Jahmyr White is not good at football. I totally got the Raiders wrong. Now, Gardner Minshew came back in for the Aiden O'Connell injury, and then threw 3 interceptions and lost a fumble. So the Raiders also not meeting expectations. Totally wrong on them. Brock Bowers is really the only player you want on this team. Alexander Mattison is, for some reason, good. I don't know. 23 carries, 92 yards, and 3 receptions. I mean, like, you take that every day of the week, and that's with Zamir White back. Dylan Love has done absolutely nothing. In fact, a healthy scratch again after fumbling on his only career carry. It's sad. It's disappointing. But I was also wrong on the Las Vegas Raiders and the Titans. Those two teams I was just wrong on. I don't really want a piece of them except Brock Bowers, right? Brock Bowers and Tony Pollard. Those are the saving graces of those offenses. Otherwise, it's just total turmoil. Moving on, we've got the Cleveland Browns, and it finally happened. Deshaun Watson is no longer the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, but we're not very excited about it. I don't think we wanted it to be an injury, at least not an Achilles injury, you just kind of wanted him to get benched and ride off into the sunset, and just, but it's here. And man, is it exciting. The Cleveland Browns are fun again. Let's go, Jamie. Let's shout out Jamie Perogue in the chat. I know they've been waiting patiently for the Jameis Winston era in Cleveland. Now, Jameis Winston was made the emergency quarterback heading into the game, and it made a lot of people think that they were done with Jameis, but it's just one of those 4D chess moves that the NFL does. They just do that, right? Like, sometimes the third string is actually the one you want. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, two interceptions before getting injured. Jameis Winston comes in 5 of 11, 67 yards and a touchdown. Let's go. Nick Chubb touchdown, by the way. Who was like the only fantasy analyst out there? I don't know. Personality. I'll just say personality. I didn't give up on Nick Chubb. I never would have. Why would you give up on Nick Chubb? I know he didn't look great. 11 carries, 22 yards and a touchdown. That's nothing to get excited about, but still got the touchdown, had a reception, led the team in carries. That's exactly what you want to see from Nick Chubb in the first game. Cedric Tillman, by the way, 12 targets, 8 receptions for 81 yards. Incredible stuff. David Njoku, 10 receptions, 76 yards and a touchdown. Incredible stuff. This is what we're hoping for, right? Jerry Jeudy, by the way, 1 reception off 5 targets. Just not good, apparently. But hey, I was able to pick up Cedric Tillman in my 14-teamer Trade Gods League for free last week after the Amari Cooper trade. And it seems that, granted, I will say this. Don't get too excited about Cedric Tillman because Dorian Thompson-Robinson and Cedric Tillman were high school teammates. And that's a lot of Dorian Thompson-Robinson's passes went Cedric Tillman's way. I'm not sure how much of that was Jameis Winston. But still, it's awesome to see a young player get unlocked like that. Hopefully that stays consistent. But yeah, seriously, it's over for Deshaun Watson in Cleveland. Cleveland gets out of it with an injury. They don't have to do any weird legal stuff. They don't have to bench him. Deshaun Watson's probably never going to play a game for the Browns again. I would be confident in saying that. I think this is it. In fact, this might be a career ender, honestly. As sad as it is, I hate saying that it's sad. It's sad because this is still a person and they're losing their career. But, up to this point, he's been bad. Has done some horrible things as a person, allegedly. So it's hard to feel too bad, but you still have to have some, you have to feel a little bad. You don't want it to happen due to an injury, right? Come on. That is, it's still pretty painful tearing your Achilles like that. And then to be booed by all the fans while you're being carted away. Hey, hopefully that is a learning moment for Deshaun Watson. And he can realize, man, people are excited to see me hurt. Maybe there is something wrong with me. But generally with these types of people, they don't have much. They're not great at kind of self-analyzation like that. But he got a ton of money. He had his opportunity. He flubbed it. He convinced another team to give him another chance. He flubbed it. It sucks that it has to end on an injury, right? But it did, and I think we're kind of excited as a fantasy community. Now the Browns offense is fun again. Nick Chubb, you can start him. You can probably start some of these pass catchers. Jameis Winston, probably going to be a super flex savior for a lot of people. It's awesome. It is pretty awesome and exciting. But you're right. Yeah, I mean, like, if any of us did what he did, we would be in jail for the rest of our lives instead of making millions of dollars being a bad quarterback. So, it's hard to feel too bad, but I still think, like, we should have a little bit of, like, again, he tore his Achilles and he got booed getting carted off the field for probably what is his last time on the NFL field. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to feel like too bad for him, but I think that we should have a little bit of like, like that sucks. But hey, let's go Jameson Winston time. We've been waiting. Let's go. Jameson Winston's here. Now, moving on, we have the team that Deshaun Watson used to play for, the Texans. I am honestly just distraught. I really think that's the best way to put it. I mean, granted, this Texans passing offense was awful, against the Packers. It was really just the Joe Mixon show yet again, 2 touchdowns, 100 yards. I mean, shout out Joe Mixon managers, right? Joe Mixon, awesome player. But man, the Texans passing offense looked terrible. CJ Stroud, 86 yards, 10 completions, no touchdowns, sacked 4 times. But I am distraught about Tank Dell. I have no idea what's going on. He had like 2 touchdowns he should have caught. They were easy. 4 targets, 0 receptions. Just sad. I don't know what's going on with Tank Dell. It's not like CJ Stroud's looking his way. It's hitting him in the hands. He's getting open, and it's just not happening. I don't know what it is. I am distraught. I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know. And I think you just bench him. I don't know. You can't sell him. I don't think you can buy him either. I think he's a big old hold right now. But man, is it disappointing, sad. I don't know. I'm honestly just lost as it pertains to the Tank Dell situation because I had high hopes for him as well. I thought him, Stephon Diggs, and Nico Collins would all be good. But no, it's just Stephon Diggs. And even Stephon Diggs only had 23 yards. It's like, what's going on? What's going on? But especially Tank Dell, I'm just distraught. And I'm also distraught as it pertains to Anthony Richardson. What the hell is going on? I honestly think at this point, I might be able to play a little bit better than Anthony Richardson is. I mean, minus the rush yards. I would have no rush yards. But man, 10 of 24, 129 yards, no touchdowns, 56 rush yards off of 14 carries. Leading receivers, Michael Pittman with only 3 receptions for 63 yards. And I mean, this is just kind of how it's looking all season, right? 47% completions, 50% in his other 3 games this year. This game sub 50%, no touchdowns. I mean, at least no interceptions in this one. But it's hard to watch. I'm not gonna lie. I rarely feel like this gross watching a quarterback play football. And I know that he has some other skills that should lead to fantasy points, but even that's not really happening. And when it does happen, it just seems to lead to an injury. I don't know what to do with Anthony Richardson. It is it's hard to watch. It is really hard to watch football. It's not good. He's not good. He's just not. And again, this is another play. You could try to buy him. I mean, he has a lot of athleticism, right? You got to hope he'll turn it around, but I don't think he really will. I don't know. At the very least, it's going to take another year or 2. It's going to this one's going to take some time, which is fine, right? Josh Allen took some time, but I think we wanted some kind of instant gratification here, and we're not going to get it. It's odd to me that he was able to find so much fantasy success his first games as a rookie. It's odd to me he was able to get 27 points in week 1 against Houston, and then since 12, 7, 5, 10, it is not good. It's confusing, and I'm not sure what to do with it. But yeah, I mean, you sit him right now. I sat him for Drake May. I had to start him in one league because Well, no, I sat him for Jaden Daniels, actually, but I wish I didn't because of the injury. But yeah, no, like it's just, I'm not starting him anywhere I have him. I would still say buy him in Dynasty. I'm still gonna say buy him in Dynasty because he's lost a lot of value. He's lost a lot of value. You could still probably get him. But yeah, things aren't right with him. The running doesn't look right, as our fearless producer Dustin is saying, right? Like he doesn't, I mean, he looks okay. Like he's, picking up yards, but it's just not, it's not good. It's very much not good. And it's hard to watch. Like it literally looks like a 13-year-old playing Madden out there. It's not good. Just chucking it, missing it, scrambling too much. It's not good. It's awful even. I would go so far as to say it's awful. But I do think he'll turn it around in Dynasty. I don't think this is over for him. They still won the game, right? But still concerning at the very least. But buy him in Dynasty. We're going to still say buy him in Dynasty. I think it's worth it. Now, the Giants. This is a big question. What was going to happen with Devin Singletary returning? As expected, a split. Right, we talked about it. Tyrone Tracy was still going to get a ton of opportunity with Devin Singletary back, and Devin Singletary kind of lost his job as the bell cow. That's exactly what happened. 6 carries for Tyrone Tracy, 5 carries for Devin Singletary, 3 receptions for Tyrone Tracy, 1 reception for Devin Singletary. So those of you keeping track, 6 carries for Devin Singletary, or 6 touches for Devin Singletary, 9 touches for Tyrone Tracy. Very nice, very cool. That's how it's going to look. Tyrone Tracy looked way too good in Devin Singletary's absence to lose touches. He's going to continue to, split this, but it's not going to be exciting because it's the New York Giants. And now, Daniel Jones looked awful in this game, so that's going to be a part of it. If you get good Daniel Jones, then you're happy to have the running backs. But in this game, it was awful. The Eagles dismantled them. Daniel Jones actually got benched. He went 14 to 21 for 99 yards, no touchdowns, was sacked 7 times. And that's a big part of it, right? When you get sacked that much, it's hard to do anything. So don't write off Tyrone Tracy. He's still going to have weeks. This was just a really, really bad week for the Giants in general. And definitely start monitoring this Daniel Jones-Drew Lock situation. It'll still be Daniel Jones for a few more weeks, but I do think that Drew Lock will start at some point. I do think the Giants want to see a pocket passer back there, even if it's just Drew Lock. They just want to see it because next year they are in the quarterback market. They're going to want to see, should we go with a pocket passer for Malik Neighbors, or should we kind of keep it going with a little bit of a mobile guy? They want to see this. So Drew Lock will start by the end of the season, so still definitely stash him, but it'll be Daniel Jones for a little bit. Got a couple more takeaways. They'll be quick. Jaden Daniels got hurt. I think it's, it's not like as severe as a lot of them, but this was always the thing, right? This is why we talked about it on the waiver wire episode, to stash Marcus Mariota. Jaden Daniels is undersized and he's a rushing quarterback. As electric as he is, those types of players do generally get hurt. Luckily, this looks to be a minor rib injury. And also, luckily, the Commanders looked damn good with Marcus Mariota back there. Marcus Mariota, 18 to 23, 200 yards and 2 touchdowns, 34 rush yards, no interceptions. Brian Robinson, 70 yards and a touchdown. Terry McLaurin, 98 yards. Zach Ertz, 40 yards and a touchdown. Ben Sinnott, first touchdown. So, encouraging. Very, very encouraging. If you are a Jaden Daniels team, like you have a few Commanders, it's very encouraging to know that you can just start Marcus Mariota in Jaden Daniels' absence and you don't have to bench the skill players, right? Awesome, awesome stuff. Now, this was against the Panthers, so obviously that's going to play into it. It's an awful, awful defense. It'll be curious to see what Marcus Mariota looks like against a real team, but still, that has to give you some confidence. And hopefully the Jaden Daniels injury isn't that severe. It seems fine. I mean, he was back on the sideline. Some more information should come out later today. But yeah, good stuff from Marcus Mariota and the Commanders. But yeah, you are right, MB Prop. He does usually just look good for one game and then lose it. And it was the Panthers. But still, I think that's a little encouraging, at least from the viewpoint that you could still start your Commanders if Jaden Daniels is out. I think that's at least good. And lastly, in Kansas City, it's the Kareem Hunt show. I really thought that Clyde Edwards-Helaire would get some opportunity. He got nothing, actually. Absolutely nothing. Kareem Hunt, 22 carries, 78 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He also added a couple receptions. Kareem Hunt's the bell cow in Kansas City. And congratulations to everyone that has him. Seriously. I mean, like, it's the Kareem Hunt show. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is taking nothing. Carson Steele is taking nothing. Samaje Perine is taking nothing. Kareem Hunt looks good, and the Chiefs are utilizing him. This was a game where Patrick Mahomes and Brock Purdy combined for 0 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. The passing department was awful on both sides of the ball. It was all up to the running backs, and Kareem Hunt put the team on his back. Insane stuff from Kareem Hunt. Awesome pickup a few weeks ago. Is the bell cow in Kansas City until Isaiah Pacheco returns. So awesome. Now, yeah, I know Clyde Edwards-Helaire was inactive. I'm saying that I thought he would be active. And yes, looks like there are reports from Jaden Daniels that says he should be back this week. The ribs are not broken, and they actually would have put him back in if they weren't so far ahead. So that's awesome news for Jaden Daniels. But still, the takeaway was just that the Commanders are good without Daniels, which is just awesome from the viewpoint of Commanders, skill players, if you could start them or not. But yeah, Kareem Hunt looking like a stud while Pacheco's out. Congratulations to everyone that has it. But that should do it. I'm going to hop into the chat, answer some questions, and then we are going to get out of here. Going up, starting from the top and moving down. And thank you, as always, guys, for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button and make sure you subscribe to Player Profiler. Toronto Dave wants to know how old I am. I hear that everyone thinks I'm 49. That's true. I'm 49 years old. I'm 26. But that was a funny joke. Good, funny little joke. Now, let's see. Man, not a lot of questions here. Just you guys, you guys just kind of chatting along. Start May next week. I think Drake May is an every week start. I think garbage time and standard time, he's just going to be putting up points, whether it's on the ground or in the air. Let Tank be a lesson to Trey Benson dynasty managers. This is true. And Kendre Miller dynasty managers. It just takes some time sometimes with rookie running backs. Year 2 is awesome usually. Don't give up on these players. You got to keep rostering them. Get Kendre Miller. Get Trey Benson. Get Blake Corum. Get Kamani Vidal. Get Jalen Wright. Get Jonathan Brooks. Wait for Jonathan Brooks. Wait on Jonathan Brooks because he's going to come back and not get anywhere near the volume people want. It's still going to be Chuba Hubbard season. Wait on Jonathan Brooks, but still. You do have to have diamond hands with Kyle Pitts, but it's worth it. Is a second too much to give for Braylon Allen? I think so. I would ask for maybe give a second for like Braylon Allen and a third, see if that could happen. Or like a third and a player or something. I would honestly just try to stay within player. But I do want to get Braylon Allen. I think that he is an interesting stash for sure. Yeah, Will Levis screwed a lot of us. Do you think a deep tissue massage could cure that Achilles? No, but I'm sure Deshaun Watson wants that. You need 15-plus points tonight in full PPR. Would you go with McBride or MSJ? In full PPR, I think I would lean McBride. I know Marvin Harrison Jr. is playing, but I think for him to get 15, you're kind of hoping on the touchdown. I think McBride can get there just purely off receptions. I think also with Marvin Harrison Jr. missing a lot of this week of practice with his concussion, I think that McBride's going to be a bigger part of the game plan as well. So I would lean McBride. Anyone see how Chubb played? Yeah, again, he scored a touchdown and didn't look good. But that's probably how it's going to be, and he's going to start to look good. He's Nick Chubb. This is technically still Anthony Richardson's first season, and that is why I'm saying to still buy him in Dynasty, but in redraft, he's benchable, and maybe, I can't say droppable. Unless it's single QB, but even then, I would probably still try to hold on to him. But yeah, Anthony Richardson in Dynasty, big buy, for sure. Would I trade Chris Godwin for Justin Jefferson? Yes. McLaurin or Amari Cooper rest of the season? Amari Cooper. When will I be confident starting Brooks? Until he shows it to me, which is probably never. He's a big sell for me. Big sell for me. Why is Laporta so underutilized? No clue. Actually, no clue. Now, last year, we were really big on Sam Laporta because of the Jameson Williams suspension. I said they got Sam Laporta. There's no other pass catchers. They're kind of just got to throw him to the fire and be forced to utilize him. This year, they're not necessarily forced to utilize him. Amon-Ra's getting open. Jameson's getting open. Jahmyr Gibbs is being really good. Tim Patrick and Khalif Raymond. Although, Sam Laporta should definitely be utilized a bit more, especially in the red zone. Not sure what's going on there. Would you drop Kincaid? No, he just doesn't have top 5 upside anymore. You still probably have to start him. It's still, still attached to Josh Allen. Still probably going to get you like 10 points, but not much ceiling. Would you rather have a 26 first and third or take Bigsby and Myers? I might be leaning that first. I know it's crazy, but getting a first round pick is cool. Need start. Tua, Wilson, May. May and Wilson. I don't think Tua's starting yet. Would you bench Purdy for May going forward? Just take it on a matchup by matchup basis. Does Bigsby take over? I think so. Yeah, just do it, Alex. Just do it. You might get burned here or there, but Franklin's the upside play. Just do it. It's probably the wrong move. There will be weeks where you're like, damn, I wish I didn't do that. But I really feel it in my bones that by the end of the season, Troy Franklin's going to be getting like those 15-plus pointers pretty consistently. And I mean, like, Bo Nix is starting to look good too. I think that's the upside play. It's a hard play to move. You're losing some floor, but you're taking the ceiling swing. Watson or Wicks rest of season, Watson for me. And then it is confirmed. Deshaun Watson has tore his Achilles. Rip Deshaun Watson. Hey, if anyone wants a signed Deshaun Watson rookie card that used to be worth a lot of money and still wants to give me the old value of, over $1,000 or something, just let me know. Come hit me up. I have a football card of Deshaun Watson I wish I sold a long time ago and just didn't. And I'm totally not upset or salty about it at all. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. This was another fun episode of, are we still in on Flournoy? Yes. In Dynasty? Yes. Yes, we're still in on Flournoy. Yes, we're still in on Flournoy. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe. Everyone have a magnificent Monday. I hope all your Monday night miracles come true. Kamani Vidal, 2 touchdowns. Have a good one. Peace.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.